Melissa is in Manchester. Melissa, what would you like to say?
Oh, hi, James.
Hello, Melissa.
I think this is actually the first time I've engaged with any of sort of the COVID inquiry or show today. I think because I carry so much anger and grief from that time that I've just not been able to engage. And I think at the time of the pandemic, my grandfather, who lived at the other end of the country to me, he had terminal cancer. And as a family, we stuck religiously to the rules. I think we knew he was immunosuppressed. We knew he was high risk. I didn't see him that Christmas of 2020 when I live in Manchester. So we were in this sort of tiered structure.
God, I'd forgotten that as well. The
rules were changing about whether people would be allowed to sort of meet with family, and then they couldn't. And then the rules were relaxed for Christmas Day, and it was sort of very in and out. And as a family, we agreed not to spend Christmas together because we felt it was too much of a risk. My brother and I live in Manchester. The rest of my family live in Sussex. And that was the only Christmas in, at that point, 32 years of my life that I'd not spent with my family. And we sort of said that sacrifice is worth it, to keep ourselves safe, but also to keep the wider population safe. And then in 2021, my granddad's cancer rapidly accelerated, and he was at end of life, and I didn't see him for that last Christmas. But the overwhelming memory I have of that time is going to see him when we were told it was a matter of days, and the nurses who were caring for him at home telling me that I could take my mask off so that he could see my face for the first time in 2 years.
Good Lord.
Because it didn't matter at that point. It was, and being able to give him a cuddle and hold his hand, and I didn't see him for 2 years to keep him safe. And meanwhile, they were partying in Number 10 and having things like Cheltenham, and I will never get that time back. And I know rationally I should move past it, but I can't get over the anger that I feel, and it won't have just been me. There will be thousands of people like me who made those sacrifices, and just the fact that he didn't see my whole face, he didn't get to touch me or hold my hand for 2 years until it was too late almost.
I'm sorry. That's just not fair, is it? And of course, the knowledge that it's not fair in the great scheme of things can be leavened by the knowledge that it was necessary. But when the people who were in charge of all of these rules were not obeying them, it's really hard to process what that means and what that represents.
And that there's no comeuppance for any of these people for their negligence. And I don't think there ever will be. Boris Johnson, they get to go, Dominic Cummings, they get to go and move on with their lives. And I lost the last 2 years that I would have had with my grandfather. I lost the last Christmas we would have had. And there's no comeuppance for them, and I don't think they'll ever be held to account for what they did.
What I mean, we've gone to the extreme already this morning, which would involve prison. That we both know ain't ever going to happen. Is there anything that would feel appropriate to you, short of that? I mean, it would be nice if they were rendered a form of pariah, but of course, no. They're being rewarded. They're being championed. They've been given lucrative columns in the Daily Mail. And, of course, not just him, but all his key cronies. Michael Gove is now editor of The Spectator. Nadine Dorries now has a column in the Daily Mail. I don't know what Dominic Cummings does, but unless he's suddenly grown a conscience, it's unlikely that he's beating himself up at night over his role in what was described by the inquiry as poisoning the atmosphere of Downing Street, creating a toxic and macho culture with the full connivance of the Prime Minister, making key decisions which were for the Prime Minister to make, but an arrangement with which it must be acknowledged Mr Johnson was content. People with contacts in the Conservative Party apparently knew all along that this was going on, didn't need an inquiry to prove it, but I did, Melissa, and I suspect you did as well.
Yeah, I don't think I don't have the answer to that, to what that comeuppance is, and I think some of it is just, and I won't be the only one, I think your other callers this morning, there's such a deep-rooted anger and betrayal that people felt, and unfortunately, their lives haven't been ruined.
No.
And I think the unfairness that you touched on there just hits the nail on the head, right? Like we're brought up to believe that if you do the right thing and you follow the rules, that you are rewarded for that. And in this case, I feel like we were actively punished for following the rules, and the people who broke the rules were rewarded.
And if you weren't punished, you were made to feel a little bit stupid later on, or at least betrayed. Or, at most betrayed by the people who had introduced the rules, because that's the point. I still think they were necessary, and if they weren't necessary, they were the best available option at the time. But when the people imposing them aren't obeying them, aren't following them, do all roads lead to a sort of combination of arrogance and entitlement? Is it just, in different circumstances, this can be a quality, Melissa? I know that sounds odd, but if you're at war, if you actually believe that you're invulnerable, you're probably going to be braver than the bloke next to you who knows exactly what the odds are of him being hit with a bullet when they go over the top. Do you see what I mean? They sort of carried this ludicrous public school bellicose attitude into a medical context when it might perhaps be vaguely useful in a military one. Is it that? Is it this belief? Oh no, they won't affect the likes of us. Mortalities for the plebs or vulnerabilities for the ladies. We'll be absolutely fine because we're British and we're blokes. I don't know. I'm scrabbling around for an answer to how they could have ended up being so contemptuous.
I don't know. I think there's an element of just their degree of privilege, believing that they were above the rules and untouchable. And I feel like a lot of the consequences of that have shown that they're untouchable, because there haven't really been any consequences.
Yeah, they were right. Good God, I hadn't thought of that, Melissa. Thank you. I'm so sorry for your loss and for what you went through. Marilyn's in Hemel Hempstead. Marilyn, what would you like to say?
Oh, good morning, James.
Hello,
what a question you've asked.
It's a big one, isn't it?
Isn't it? The curtain's coming back and we're going to have a look, aren't we?
Well, some of us are. Some of us will be too busy looking in the other direction or having nonsensical conversations about whether Boris Johnson's comeback is now off the cards.
Oh, God almighty. I worked for the NHS. I was saying to your producer, I worked for the NHS for 36 years. I wasn't clinical. I worked for the bereavement team.
Right.
You
were busy.
Retired.
Yes.
Always, constantly. It's part of life, isn't it? But I'd retired when COVID came along. But I do remember a certain Mr. Hunt coming to our hospital.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing some sort of exercise about a possible pandemic. COVID wasn't even known then. And it was about what we needed to have in store in case this next epidemic arrived. We got nothing. Nothing happened. Everyone was glad-handing and patting him on the back and smiling and making tea. And then we go into COVID. And I remember some of our doctors and consultants had come back after retiring to help out. But I'd left by then, and it wasn't until I went back to the hospital for some treatment myself, and there was a memorial plaque that had been put up at the main entrance. And I'm not going to get emotional.
You can if you want.
So many names on it of people that I worked with, and they'd given their lives to this clown that was running this circus, lying to everybody. I'm like your previous caller. I'm furious.
Yeah.
Because they defend him. They find him work. They pay him thousands. And do you know what? They defended Hitler. And I just cannot get what went on there, because they're shameless. They're absolutely shameless. They've taken money, they've cooked up stories, and in the meantime, families are devastated.
Is it what is it that we're describing? Is it class? Is it just ordinary people don't matter, or is it worse than that? What is it?
I agree. I agree with that completely.
Right.
I think it's the boys' club. I think it's they find them jobs doing anything, don't they, and pay them thousands.
Of course.
And he was incompetent from the day one. And we all had a clown like that in our class.
Yeah, but we didn't expect them to end up Prime Minister.
No.
Unless you were at Eton in the 1980s, I imagine. You ended up with two.
Dear God. I don't know. My husband had COVID. and was admitted to the hospital that I worked in. They were incredible, and they saved his life.
I think there are two memories of this. There are the memories of the healthcare professionals, whatever capacity they were working in, and then there are the memories of the rest of us. I think there were two countries almost unfolding, one not ignored, of course, by the other, but certainly largely ignored by the political class. Marilyn, thank you.